What's going on, YouTube? So, different type of video today. In front of me I've got two binders. One of them has the non-hollow base set cards that I've had since 1999, and then this right here is the new XY Evolution set. So we're going to be doing a little comparison between the two sets and give a general overview of how I feel this set stacks up to the original base set that came out back in 1999. Now, that being said, I'm also going to talk about pull rates. I know I was arguing with myself in the last video I recorded whether or not I was going to do another box of XY Evolutions. I've decided I'm not going to, and the reason why is because I've completed the set, and that was my main objective for opening boxes, was to complete the set. And with the way that the pull ratio is, and I'll just give you that pull ratio right now, these are the number of regular rares that I pulled out of two boxes. Now, I have done some openings as well, and this, of course, doesn't include all the regular rares that are inside the set that I have, and the regular rares that I have outside of the set, which is in the deck that I'm building, which has 8 regular rares in it. So if you take a look, these are your pull ratios of what you're going to most commonly see when you're opening the set. The most common rare in the set is Farfetch'd and Raticate, which makes sense. They are basic Pokemon. Raticate's not a basic, he's a stage 1 evolution, but basic, I mean, they're colorless. They don't have an energy type associated with them, so any deck can use them, so it makes sense to have more basic Pokemon in your pull ratios. Besides that, Starmie, Dugtrio, and Dugong take the next step, and then Arcanine and Electrode are kind of tied, with Mewtwo being the hardest to pull. Out of all the boxes I opened, I only received 3 regular rare Mewtwo's, and I want to say the total right here, I think there's 42, so not including the 8 that I have to the side, and then the cards that I have in there, that's almost a box and a half. Out of all of the cards that I've opened, over a box and a half are regular rares. That's not a very good pull rate. It's not good at all. But the main draw to this set was the nostalgic value that these cards had. You've got your Mewtwo versus the old Mewtwo, Charizard. No Blastoise or Venusaur, unfortunately. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk, and actually, if I open up right here, you're going to see some of the base set rares that were in here. Now, I know the top of the video is cut off, but you've got the Electro, the Electabuzz, and the Dugtrio there. The Pidgeotto and the Dragonair, the only 2 rares that did not make it over as Pokemon. Now, comparatively, Arcanine, Farfetch'd, Starmie, Dugong, those were all uncommons. You can't really see right here, but the uncommon symbol, the diamond, is right there. But let's do a quick comparison between some of these cards. I'm going to go in order. I will take some cards to the side, and I'll show them, showcase the binder. I may have some weird things going on. But Beedrill, I wish I could zoom in. I can probably do it. I have to edit. But as you can see, the Beedrill back then, 80 hit points versus 120 hit points right now. Poison Sting versus Twin Needle. Twin Needle potentially did 60 damage. Poison Sting does 30, and you can poison somebody. And then Swarming Sting, which is the mass Beedrill stinging that you have, compared to just 40 damage, and they're poisoned. So the new Beedrill, I believe, is a lot better, comparatively. So he's cut off here, but Dugtrio. You can see up there's the Dugtrio. So the original attack, which was Slash, still Slash right here. 40 damage, but for 2 colorless rather than 2 fighting and a colorless. So right now this guy wins. 20 extra hit points. Earthquake did 10 damage to each of your own benched Pokemon for 70 damage for 4 fighting, but the trade-off is 130 damage for 3 energy. Not bad. However, Dugtrio, unlike the original, does not have a resistance, and the new Beedrill actually doesn't have a resistance either. Electrode. You can see Electrode right up here. So the ability is the exact same, but literally Electrode got a little bit better in this set, even though Electrode kind of sucks. 70 damage instead of 50 damage, and it's 2 lightning and a colorless rather than 3 lightning for 50 damage, and it does 10 damage to itself. Electrode was never good in the first place. I really wish Pidgeotto was in this set. But let's move down to Arcanine really quick. There we can see we've got the 2 Arcanines here. Now, the new Arcanine has 30 extra hit points, has an ability, and you can see right here that it does 150 damage for its max ability. Has a better retreat cost. Electrode has a better retreat. Electrode has no retreat cost in the new set. Beedrill retained no retreat cost between the two. But is the new Arcanine better than the original? I think so, but still, the ability to not attack in between turns is bad. Whereas whether or not you can deal 50 or 80, which surprisingly is still less than what this does, but Arcanine did damage to himself, so not a huge improvement for Arcanine. You can see Dugong right down here. Now Dugong pretty much is the same except the resistance and the hit points. Well, everything's different about Dugong, but in terms of playability, the old Dugong was 80 hit points with lightning weakness, and the new Dugong is, of course, 120 hit points with grass weakness, not resistance. But the new Dugong can heal himself, and it's an automatic switch for 1 energy rather than the Aurora Beam for 3, 2 water and a colorless, and then the Ice Beam was 30 damage. Defending Pokemon is paralyzed for 4 energy, 2 water, 2 colorless, instead of Takedown for 90, but it deals 20 damage to itself, which is way better because he can heal. So Dugong got a big buff. Now let's talk about Farfetch'd, because Farfetch'd is just way better in this new set. You can see right here, Farfetch'd has 50 hit points. Sorry, I'm trying to hold this. I didn't plan for this video. So, 50 hit points, Leak Slap for 30, flip a coin, if tails the attack does nothing, and you can't use the attack next turn, and then Pot Smash for 30, with 30 resistance to fighting, still weak to lightning, and a retreat of 1, but the new Farfetch'd, Leak Slap for 50, you don't have to flip a coin anymore, and Pot Smash for 3, this Farfetch'd, way better than the old one. So those are the major comparisons that I'm going to do right now. I can do more later. I'm probably, since this was just ad-libbed, I'm probably going to end up taking these out of the sleeves and then compare the two side by side with each other, just so you guys can see the difference in playability, and then what my judgment is on the playability of the new cards versus the old cards. So we've got all of the base set commons and uncommons to go through here, and then I will also, since I've got them all in sleeves, we'll be doing all the hollows as well. So next up for the next video will be basically the uncommons versus the uncommons, even though we already did Arcanine and Dugong, but you know, that's that. So thanks for watching, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you like seeing this content. The next video should show up shortly within the next day or two. So take care, guys. Thanks again.